Very quickly, the day of the event at the main hall of a large center arrived. The audience was eagerly present at Wang Sura's fan signing event. Meanwhile, she was in a panic, calling Se-young-hyun, "Senior, what should I do? I feel like I'm going to throw up." This made him anxiously ask, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Sura's voice immediately dropped, "No, it's because I'm so nervous. There are so many people outside, it's packed. According to the organizers, people have been lining up since early morning, so the tickets sold out in no time. They will issue additional tickets, right?" He reassured her, "That's right." This allowed her to breathe a sigh of relief. "That's good, but I'm still so nervous." "Where are you right now?" Se-young-hyun hurriedly replied, "There was an issue with the clothes for the awards ceremony, so I'm trying on the outfit again." Very quickly, Jin Kyung rushed into the room urging Sura. Before hanging up, Sura didn't forget to say, "See you tonight at the awards ceremony square. I have to go out now." The host's voice began to resonate. Everyone has been waiting for a long time. Now, the signing event will begin. Actress Wang Sura, please come to the stage. She appeared radiant alongside the security team, waving to everyone. Her eyes widened with astonishment at the enthusiastic support from so many fans. This made her eyes well up with tears, a mix of emotion and nervousness. After the host signaled, "Now, I officially announce the start of the fan signing event. Starting with ticket number 1, please come up to the stage one by one." Sura was very gracious as she received gifts from fans, continuously signing and smiling radiantly and happily. She didn't forget to interact with young fans and was delighted to receive cute little gifts. To her, being able to sign her name so many times was a source of happiness and pride in her journey. Finally, the host joyfully announced, "Yes, finally, the entire large auditorium has received their signatures. Ms. Wang Sura has worked hard. So, may we invite Ms. Wang Sura to give the closing remarks for the event?" She hesitated but agreed, "Yes, to be honest, the fan signing event today had so many fans, I was extremely nervous. Even though I stood on stage, I was very shaky. This is my first time signing for fans like this, so I may have made some mistakes, and I sincerely apologize. Everyone stood in line on such a cold winter day, it must have been very tough. Without any complaints and with such joy, I am very thankful. Today, thanks to you all, I have received an immense amount of strength. I hope you all continue to." Sura's eyes suddenly widened in shock, her face turning pale as she saw someone approaching the stage. She stammered, unable to speak. Unbelievably, Se-young-hyun himself spoke up, "I came to ask for an autograph. I am a huge fan of Ms. Wang Sura." Everyone at the event suddenly fell silent, then started buzzing with murmurs, "What? Isn't that Kang Se-young-hyun? So there are two celebrities here? Why is Kang Se-young-hyun here? What on earth is happening? This is incredible." He emphasized, "An autograph, aren't you going to sign?" This made Sura suddenly panic, as she quickly signed while mumbling, An autograph, of course I'll sign." After scribbling for a moment, she suddenly froze, her eyes wide with astonishment upon realizing she had just signed a marriage registration form. This made her even more confused. Se-young-hyun, seeing her reaction, quickly explained, "I know you're surprised, but I've prepared everything else. All you need to do is come. Let's live together, Sura. Let's get married." Finally, the reporters had the opportunity to publish hot news. Actor Kang Se-young-hyun publicly proposes to Wang Sura to live together. Thousands of female fans present at the scene erupted. The top Asian movie star Kang Se-young-hyun, 33, made a surprise appearance at the fan signing event of actress Wang Sura, 27, at 8 p.m. today. Then, towards the end of the signing event, Kang Se-young-hyun's public proposal left thousands of attendees in shock. Actress Wang Sura was so moved by the unexpected proposal that she burst into tears, unable to speak. Then, the two held hands and left the scene, with speculation that they would attend the SBC Film Awards ceremony together at 9 p.m. This shocking news created a wave of public reaction. What? Kang Se-young-hyun and Wang Sura? What's going on? When did they start dating without any news? According to information from their management company, they have been dating since the beginning of the year when they worked together. Really? The management company has already confirmed it. After such a public proposal, who could deny it? Pictures of them holding hands and running off have been posted everywhere. This isn't some fabricated story by reporters. Kang Se-young-hyun proposed in such a way? Yes, they will walk the stage together to receive awards today, right? Will they give an answer there? As the event unfolded, the viewership of the awards ceremony skyrocketed. Television networks scrambled to cover the story. Hello everyone, I'm Kim Jina from Entertainment News. I'm currently at the red carpet of the SBC Film Awards. Right now, this place feels like a larger artificial volcano than any previous year. Why is that? If you are a citizen of South Korea, I think everyone already knows, right? On the way to the awards ceremony, Sura appeared extremely nervous. Senior, what should I do? I'm so nervous. Se-young-hyun smiled gently in response. What's wrong? You've already forgotten what I just said? She emphasized again. No, I haven't forgotten. You said I just need to trust you. That's right, just trust me. Se-young-hyun looked at his beloved with an infatuated gaze. You're beautiful, Sura. As they stopped the car in front of the red carpet, they heard cheers. Everyone, they've arrived. Kim Jina seized the opportunity to continue reporting. The couple who publicly announced their engagement, causing a sensation in South Korea, are none other than Wang Sura and Kang Se-young-hyun. Se-young-hyun whispered to her, just walk confidently, because you're the main character. Sura's eyes sparkled with thoughts intertwined, like a star? Since childhood, I've always wanted to become a shining star. Even though there were times I missed home terribly, I wanted them to know that I'm here, I'm right here. The event officially began with the announcement. Tonight is the grandest star-studded event of the year. The SBC Film Awards ceremony may now commence. The main winner was The Path, praised by critics and beloved by the audience. The first award was for Best Director, followed by Best Picture of the Year, and then Best On-Screen Couple. Surprisingly, both the male and female leads won the Favorite Actor and Actress awards. All four main actors received numerous accolades, and the most unexpected moment was when Kang Se-young-hyun and Sura took the stage together to speak. This wasn't surprising to the attendees. Indeed, the station arranged for them to speak together. The audience was thrilled. The station's intention to create a media frenzy made Sura anxious. But why is everyone's gaze fixed on us, even though there are four of us here? Earlier, when receiving the Favorite Couple award with my senior, the camera also focused on the two of us. The host continued the announcement. Yes, next, I would like to announce the award for Outstanding New Actress. She has truly dedicated herself to her role. Sura sat nervously, waiting. Finally, it was time for the New Actress Award. Although everyone had been informed in advance about the winner, reassuring her not to worry, but the moment of announcement had arrived. The 30th SBC Award for the Most Outstanding New Actress goes to Wang Sura for The Path. She erupted with happiness, slowly making her way to the stage amidst the host's praises. The winner, Wang Sura, has portrayed the lively and intelligent character Juan in the film The Path naturally. She has done a wonderful job in a supporting role. Congratulations to Wang Sura. The entire room fell silent, following her speech. Firstly, I want to thank all the audience for your support. This year marks my 7th year in the industry. It took 7 long years for me to receive the award for Outstanding New Actress. Receiving such a prestigious award, I never even dreamed of it. I truly don't know how to express my gratitude. First of all, I want to extend my sincerest thanks to my sister, who has supported me for 7 years, quietly caring and encouraging me every day. She has always warmly greeted every department of the film crew. At this point, she felt her eyes sting, trying to regain composure to continue. My dear sister, I am incredibly grateful to you. Also, to Wangsu representatives who have supported us both materially and spiritually so that we can stand here today. Sister Mina, all the members of the company, friends who have worked hard together like Jel and Kong Lee, the director, the screenwriter, and many other members. Thank you all. Everyone has worked so hard, and I am so happy that all the efforts have paid off. I have received so much love. To repay the love of everyone, I will strive to become an even more diligent and skilled Wang Sura. The audience in the hall was immediately disappointed to see the speech come to an end. The host quickly inquired, "Ms. Wang Sura, is that it? Is the speech really over?" She glanced towards the audience and suddenly noticed their cheering. Se Young-hyun was also taken aback. The audience remained anxious, the current atmosphere causing him to break out in a cold sweat. The MC's urging words, combined with the anticipation of everyone, made the situation even more uncomfortable for Sura, who nervously looked towards Se Young-hyun. He responded with a worried smile, mirroring the anxious anticipation. In that moment, she involuntarily delved deep into a chain of memories, from the moment they first met, to exchanging information, to officially dating, and experiencing a relationship full of ups and downs and challenges. Se Young had always been by her side, offering unwavering support, and even now, he continued to embrace her with tight, affectionate hugs. "Everything was initiated by you, so this time." She trailed off in thought, then boldly lifted the mic again, causing Se Young-hyun to feel both nervous and surprised, eagerly listening to Sura's heartfelt words. "I don't even know how to say this, I was so shocked and surprised that I didn't know what to say at that moment," her voice suddenly softened. "Oh Se Young-hyun held his breath, hanging on to every word she said. "I just want you to take me away, can you do that?" Every guest present was filled with awe and admiration, along with the astonishment of the audience. Se Young himself was delighted, but perhaps the most moved was Sister Kyung. The host quickly said blessings to conclude the emotionally charged speech. Watching his beloved shining on stage, Se Young-hyun couldn't help but smile, feeling both embarrassed and ecstatic. "You're driving me crazy, Wang Sura." Before ending her speech, she flashed a radiant smile. As the event came to a close late in the evening, Se Young-hyun opened his mouth slightly while still holding Sura's hand tightly. Both of them suddenly felt awkward in that moment, stealing glances at each other before quickly speaking up. "It feels strange to be going home together like this." "Absolutely, it's magical," she replied. Despite having visited this house countless times, for Sura, each time felt like the first. After taking the hot coffee mug, she quickly responded, "Thank you," then took a hurried sip before letting out a sigh. Now there's some breathing room. From the first fan signing event to winning the first award, and then the public proposal, so many events happened in one day. Sura couldn't help but feel curious. Why did Kang Se Young-hyun act so fast? Seeing his puzzled expression, she immediately pressed on, "You know, the words he said at the end when expressing his feelings upon receiving the award." Sung-hyun was also nervous with those words. "Finally, I would like to dedicate this award to my beloved wife, Wang Sura." At that moment, everyone was so excited, saying, "The couple of the century has appeared." Do you know how embarrassed I was at that moment, wanting to bury myself underground? Listening to her, Se Young-hyun couldn't resist teasing her further. "I just want you to take me away, can you do that?" That moment just stood out. He teased, making her blush and fumble for words. "I wasn't thinking clearly then. Let's not talk about it anymore." His tone suddenly became serious. "Not thinking clearly? So if you were thinking clearly, you wouldn't have agreed, right?" Sura also became playful. "You know I didn't mean that. Why do you keep teasing me like this?" Se Young-hyun quickly reassured her, "Because when I see you, that's how I am. Because you're too adorable." She immediately leaned on his shoulder and whispered, "Seriously, you're so annoying." Then she sighed and asked again, "Why did you propose at that moment? Why didn't we announce our relationship before?" Sung quickly explained, "Because if we did, you would have faced more pressure in making a choice." In Sura's heart, she felt deeply grateful. "Thank you for understanding what I hoped for understanding the words my heart wanted to say but couldn't. Thank you for easing my anxious heart, for helping me overcome all difficulties to be by your side." The sea was calm, without a single wave. Footsteps danced on the golden sand. Sura ran ahead, glancing back and urgently calling out, "Come on, hurry up." Sung-hyun asked as he walked over, "What's making you so anxious?" Sura replied, her voice playful, "I told you to hurry up. Over there, right? Where you and that little girl built sandcastles together." Though Se Young-hyun tried to evade, saying, "That? I don't remember much," Sura insisted, "Yes, that's right. It's the spot where you can see the resort gate from afar. When I saw you there, for some reason, my heart started racing. Seeing you and the little girl building sandcastles together made me feel like I was in a movie. It's a pity that moment wasn't captured in a photo. But why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on my face? Se-young-hyun smiled softly and replied, no, it's because you're beautiful, leaving Sura feeling suddenly flustered. What? Is that supposed to make me feel awkward? Thus, their sweet, affectionate words blended into the sound of the waves. You only need to witness their happiness at this moment. The gentleness of Se-young-hyun, the stunning beauty of the two young idols walking side by side, is truly wonderful. This time, they can comfortably express their love in public. It has been 3 months since last year's awards ceremony. Although we've announced our engagement, we still can't date freely in our home country. So, we've arranged a several-month-long vacation here, the place of our first trip together. Sura exclaimed in surprise, look at the stars. Se-young-hyun also appeared astonished, stars at this hour? It must be because the sky is so clear. Stars always shine brightly. In that moment, Sura had a sudden idea and called out, Appa, I'm going to do something I've never done before. Curious, Se-young-hyun asked, what? Before he could finish asking, he was unexpectedly kissed by her. Both of them smiled happily and embraced each other. As the afternoon turned to evening under the sweet light of the sunset, the two of them gazed deeply into each other's eyes. Sura softly whispered, I love you, Appa. She followed this with a few more sweet, sentimental words. Hearing this, Se-young-hyun lifted her up in pure joy, not forgetting to give a playful warning, tonight you're in trouble with me. And winter has arrived in Korea, with everyone embracing the joyful atmosphere of Christmas. At a certain stage, the voice of the host echoed, hello to all our viewers. I am Kim Jina, a reporter from Entertainment News. Today, I am on set where a commercial is being filmed. The star of this commercial is an artist whose work always shines and never fades. She has truly become a top actress in South Korea, actress Wang Sura. Hearing such a grand introduction, the main actress bashfully responded, hello to all the viewers. Sitting across from each other in front of the cameras, the reporter spoke, Sura, first, I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations on winning the Daesang Award at this year's award ceremony. Sura replied, thank you. Kim Jina, filled with enthusiasm, continued, what are you filming today? Sura answered, today, I am shooting a commercial for a new phone model, as the brand's ambassador. Hearing this, Kim Jina looked slightly admiring and commented, I've been sitting and observing for a while, and you never forget to keep a smile on your face, even though the filming time is quite long. Before coming to the shoot, your fiancé must have given you a lot of encouragement, right? Sura smiled brightly and replied, yes, he called me many times to cheer me up. Slightly surprised by Sura's answer, Kim Jina asked, really, just phone calls? She thought to herself, noticing how radiant Sura looked. Sura calmly explained, he has a filming schedule, so he's busy in Busan. A bit disappointed, Kim Jina said, it's a pity that you two just got married and are already so busy. Hearing this, Sura could only force a smile, but behind that smile, tears began to fall. She thought to herself, that's just how it is. And so, that conversation passed. In a luxurious high-rise building, the elevator stopped at the 37th floor. At that moment, the elegant figure of the female lead appeared. While she was on her phone, she thought, it's 9:10 already, a bit later than I expected. But since he isn't home early, it doesn't matter if I come home late, right? Speaking of which, tomorrow is the last day of the year. It's been a year since I received that award. With a happy smile, she thought, it's been 3 months since our wedding. The photo on her phone showed a wedding picture of the two of them, smiling happily. She reminisced, not long ago, I was still tangled up in film shoots. Despite being married, he's been busy with his film project, so he had to go to Busan. Even daily phone calls have been difficult. Feeling bored, she wondered, does this mean our early year trip should count as our honeymoon? However, unlike the anxiety and overwhelming happiness of last year's chaos, she felt grateful to be able to work as an actress beloved by the audience. She was even a candidate for Best Actress. I shouldn't have too high expectations, right? She thought shyly. After these random thoughts, she arrived at her front door and punched in the code to unlock it. To her surprise, she noticed something unusual. Upon entering, she saw a pair of neatly arranged dress shoes. She was certain her husband was home. Excitedly, she hurried into the house and called out, but before she could finish her sentence, her eyes fell upon a familiar figure. He was leisurely sleeping on the sofa, looking incredibly handsome with his perfect features. The soft, twinkling light shining on him only made his allure more irresistible. At this moment, the heroine moved closer and observed him carefully. She wondered, is this man really my husband? Like a little kitten, she intently admired the beautiful scene before her, thinking, should I wake him up by pinching him, kissing him, or just calling him normally? Then, an idea suddenly popped into her head. Se-young-hyeon, who was asleep, suddenly felt something slightly heavy pressing on his body. He slowly opened his eyes to see his beloved lying on top of him. You're awake, Sura said with a bright smile. The atmosphere was incredibly sweet. He looked at her and smiled, a victorious smile at her somewhat adorable prank, and pulled her into an embrace. You're home late, he said. Blushing slightly, she replied, it's your fault. If you were already home, you should have told me, so I would have known to come home earlier. Se-young-hyeon replied, because I know you love surprises, and smiled happily. She indeed smiled happily and said, you really understand me, gently stroking his face. Worried, she added, filming must have been tough. You look so thin. He also raised his hand to gently touch hers and said, you look the same. Surprised, she asked, do I look that haggard? That's so hurtful. I need to go take care of my skin. As he heard his wife speak, he kissed her smooth white hand and said, even so, you are still very beautiful. Sura beamed at her husband's compliment. She responded, I know. Seeing this, he was a bit surprised. You change your tune quickly, don't you? Suddenly, she moved closer and gently kissed him, catching the protagonist off guard. She delicately swept her hair to one side, revealing her incredibly beautiful face, and said, yes, I already know that. She then placed her lips on his again. Something seemed to happen, but the male protagonist appeared to be in ecstasy. He gently held her tighter, the kiss deepened, his legs started trembling, and his lips were now tightly bitten. After a long moment, they parted their lips, having treated the audience to some delightful images. Their breaths had grown heavy, and their faces and eyes were flushed with passion. Sura walked away with a triumphant smile, while Se-young-hyeon, a bit bewildered, asked, how are you so good at kissing? Did you secretly take classes or something? Opening her eyes wide in surprise, she wondered, is there even a class for kissing? With that surprise, he said, but you're not like your usual self, suddenly sounding so thrilled, he said. The last movie you filmed had quite a few kissing scenes, and you've leveled up since then. Hearing those words, his expression turned blank, he slowly stood up and held her hand, saying, so what? It's too heavy. Seeing his expression, she burst into laughter. Why is that? Are you sulking? You're the cutest when you sulk, she said while pinching his cheek. Hearing this, he also found himself helpless with her. This little madam, he muttered. Suddenly, he tightened his grip on her hand and pinned her down. Now, the situation had changed, with him being the one taking the initiative. Feeling a bit guilty, the female lead said, I'll probably get scolded for being too naughty, right? He laughed and replied, you know it already. He slowly leaned in towards her face. Their eyes met in a moment of profound connection. With their souls in sync, they paused their playful battle, gazing at each other with happy smiles on their lips. He helped her up, saying, come on, get up. Even if there's scolding, it can wait until after we've eaten. I've prepared dinner. She looked a bit worried and replied, really? You cooked dinner? What if I had already eaten before coming back? Why didn't you tell me? How did you manage to cook so many dishes? She was surprised to see the table filled with food. With a satisfied smile, he said, mostly with what was already in the fridge, plus some ingredients I bought from Busan. She quickly took a bite, put it in her mouth, and happily said, but as long as it's something you cooked, I really want to eat it. After chewing for a moment, she suddenly covered her mouth with her hand, looking surprised. Seeing this, Se-young-hyeon asked, "What's wrong? Is it not tasty?" Sura looked at him with a worried expression and said, "No, it's delicious. But tomorrow I have to wear a dress to attend the Daesang award ceremony, so maybe I shouldn't eat too much." "I'm really sorry." Se-young-hyeon replied, "Eat as much as you want, it's okay." Sura still looked a bit worried and continued, "Oh, that's right, tomorrow you're the one giving the speech at the Daesang award ceremony, right?" "Last year was the same," Se-young-hyeon replied, looking at her with a smile. "That's right, but I might have to attend the awards separately because in the afternoon, I have a meeting with Kim Min-gu, so it might take a while." Surprised by the information she received, Sura said, "You have a meeting with Min-gu?" Se-young-hyeon slowly replied, "Yes, only tomorrow is possible. It's a pity we can't walk the red carpet together." She quickly reassured him, "I'll be fine going alone, it's just part of the contract. Hang in there." They continued to eat and chat. He asked about the filming process, knowing that director Gu could be quite eccentric. She looked at him and smiled, "You're exaggerating." Then, she put on a slightly sad expression again, but after a few minutes, Sura's eyes lit up with something. At the apartment, Jin Kyung called out, "Wong-soo, do you want a strawberry jam sandwich?" Wong-soo replied as he vacuumed, "Sure, that would be great if you make it." She laughed and said, "Then bring me a cup of coffee, please." "Yes, madam," he happily responded. The scene shifted to their dining table. Jin Kyung spread jam on the bread and said, "Today is the last day of the year, isn't it?" Wong-soo replied, "That's right, time flies by so fast." She eagerly continued, "Indeed, the first year was as sweet as a dream. If our Sura wins the Daesang award tonight, it will be the perfect ending." Wong-soo chuckled. "She's definitely going to win. Every year you have a good intuition about the winner. Last year, you correctly predicted that Se-young-hyeon would win." Surprised, her phone rang. Astonished, she exclaimed, "Just mentioned and it appears." Wong-soo, curious, asked, "What about Sura?" "Yes," Jin Kyung replied. Then the conversation between the wives ensued, its length I'm sure you can guess, and its content went something like this. "Yeah. Sura, of course, is awake." "Yes, are you having coffee with Wong-soo?" "That, you should ask the store about." "Not sure if it will be needed on the award day." "Why suddenly ask about flat shoes to pair with that dress?" "Well, only a pair of high heels would match." Suddenly Jin Kyung stood up, shouting in surprise, "What's going on?" Her sister's loud declaration startled Wong-soo, who was sitting across, causing him to spill his coffee in surprise. He asked, bewildered, "What's going on?" Ignoring him, Jin Kyung asked Sura, "Is it true? Has Se-young-hyeon been informed?" On the other end of the line, Sura held up the pregnancy test stick with 2 lines and replied, "Not yet, I haven't told him. He had an early schedule and left. Plus, I plan to keep it a secret from him for now." A happy smile spread across Sura's lips. "He always surprises me every day. So, this time, I want to surprise him," she said. "What should we do on the last day of the year?" she eagerly asked. Jin Kyung responded, "Of course, we should attend the SBCA Artist of the Year award ceremony." Just a few minutes ago at this square, the melodious voice of the host echoed throughout the arena. The stars that have illuminated the Korea have arrived one by one, including experienced veterans and promising newcomers. From outside the grand hall, a graceful figure stepped out of a car under the sparkling lights, the female lead in a stunning dress. Additionally, as introduced by the host, here is actress Wang Sura, who won last year's Outstanding New Actress Award and has made remarkable strides this year. Despite the freezing cold weather, she makes us feel like a spring goddess, doesn't she? Oh look, but Kang Se-young-hyeon isn't accompanying her. Today, they're not attending together. This will disappoint many fans hoping to capture photos of the two together. "Well, Ms. Wang Sura, please come up," a reporter called out. Responding with a bright smile, the female lead said, "Yes, because Mr. Kang Sung-hyeon has an important schedule. Due to my impatience, I couldn't wait, so I came early." "It's just a matter of schedule, so please don't worry," Sura said, raising her hand to show off her wedding ring. After Sura finished speaking, the host continued, "Yes, everyone, rest assured, the top star couple of the century is still very much in love." As for her, she turned away, thinking to herself, "It seems like my reaction time has improved significantly. Perhaps it's because of participating in various events, big and small, over the past year, gaining more experience. It feels like I've become more comfortable compared to last year." While attending the awards ceremony, sitting in the audience seat, she glanced over at Kang Se-young-hyeon's seat beside her, all the while thinking to herself. But her senior arrived really late, the program had already moved on to the second part. Could there be an issue with contract negotiations? Then the host's words snapped her out of her reverie. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Next up is the second part of the program. But first, let's enjoy the congratulatory performance by the Nick Band." The band's voices gradually rose, capturing everyone's attention. Faced with those sounds, Sura was filled with excitement. She never expected to be in this position, witnessing Nick's performance. Memories flooded Sura's mind. Would you want to be more famous? A happy smile appeared on Sura's lips as she recalled that question. It was the first opportunity her senior had given her to direct a music video for Nick. It was also considered her first time playing the lead female role. Everything was so new and awkward, but 2 years had passed by quickly. Suddenly, there was Se-young-hyeon's voice speaking softly beside her. "No matter how it looks, you seem quite satisfied, aren't you?" Hearing his voice, she seemed frozen for a few seconds, startled, and exclaimed, "Senior. You're coming in so unexpectedly, like a ghost," Se-young-hyeon calmly replied. "How are you? Or are you thinking of quitting acting and becoming a pharmacist to help children grow?" "This is not very well." Taking a deep breath to regain her composure, Sura said, "Is that so? What are you talking about? And most importantly, why are you so late? How did the contract go?" Se-young-hyeon looked at her confidently and replied, "Successful." Hearing this, she exclaimed with joy, "Congratulations." At this point, the people in the technical room also approached, both saying, "Mr. Kang Se-young-hyeon is about to present the Daesang Award. Please follow me backstage." Looking up at him, Se-young-hyeon replied, "Yes." Then Se-young-hyeon looked at Sura and said, "If not, then I'll call your name." Hearing this, the female lead appeared excited. "Goodbye," she thought silently. "What should I do? The closer we get to announcing the award winner, the faster my heart beats. It's not good to be too tense." Holding her stomach, she pondered. On the stage above, the two hosts were enthusiastically carrying out their duties. The male host said, "Yes, SBC Entertainment is currently broadcasting live. We're now down to announcing the prestigious Daesang Award." The female host continued, "And the honor of announcing the award recipient will be entrusted to Mr. Kang Se-young-hyeon, who won the Daesang Award last year. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am Kang Se-young-hyeon. It's a great honor for me to announce the award recipient, so you won't have to wait any longer. I'll announce it right away." Se-young-hyeon stood at the podium and began, "The recipient of this year's Daesang Award from SBC is..." He smiled contentedly, glancing towards his wife. Catching her gaze, Sura was taken aback. Then Se-young-hyeon's voice rang out, "Ms. Wang Sura. Congratulations." In the astonishment of the female lead, she hurriedly stepped forward to receive the award. Meanwhile, Se-young-hyeon's voice continued to echo, "Actress Wang Sura, she has shown exceptionally captivating acting abilities in the live film, receiving high praise from the audience. Congratulations, Sura." As she ascended the stage, she thought, "This is a position I never thought I could reach in my lifetime, but..." Se-young-hyeon, holding a bouquet of flowers, looked at her with pride, his eyes glistening with happiness. She also looked at him, thinking, "Finally, I've made it." Grasping the microphone firmly, Sura began her speech. "Firstly, I truly want to express my gratitude to all of you. I really don't know how much gratitude is enough. Thank you all for continuously supporting the film, the director for giving me such an amazing work, the writers, and all the hardworking staff. Thanks to my representatives who have always supported me, Mr. Manwha, Ms. Jin-kyung, and my managers." She continued, "I promise to always be diligent, to never lose sight of my goals, and to strive to become a true actress, always looking forward." Finally, as her eyes welled up with emotion, she thought, I've always been curious. Why does this man always enjoy such surprising gestures? Preparing such difficult words for someone, yet always leaving them stunned and overwhelmed with emotion. But now, I understand the reason. Surely, it is. She smiled gently and said, and lastly, I want to dedicate this award to my esteemed husband Kang Sung-hyun, and the little one in my belly. Upon hearing this, Se-young appeared extremely surprised. After she finished speaking, the entire room fell into silence. Someone from below suddenly exclaimed, wow. It was like a switch had been flipped, causing the entire room to erupt into cheers. Everyone took out their phones to capture this unexpected moment. Female fans couldn't contain their emotions, saying, did Wang Sura just say she's pregnant? So if the baby is born, its father is Kang Se-young-hyun, and its mother is Wang Sura? How amazing! It's been debuting since birth. Other actors were also excited about this shocking news, each saying, from last year to this year, I've been really looking forward to next year now. I feel the same way. The baby must be adorable to watch. Jin Kyung helplessly remarked, our Wang Sura has a habit of surprising people, doesn't she? Kim Jina added, I wonder if our moon representative is fainting right now? Wang Su, overwhelmed with happiness, wiped away tears and said, all right, I give up now. You two just do as you please, as long as you're happy. Our main character is still reeling, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is. Se-young-hyun, bewildered, stutters, what did you just say? Turning towards Se-young-hyun, Sura breaks into a triumphant smile. Se-young-hyun looks at her with immense happiness, pushing himself towards Sura, his face on the verge of tears, he tightly embraces her, tenderly saying, thank you, my wife. She, too, looks at him in surprise, thinking, this is a moment I could never have imagined, a moment where my heart feels overwhelmed with all the happiness in the world. And so, the two embrace each other tearfully amidst the enthusiastic cheers of the entire audience. Shortly after, the award ceremony came to a joyful conclusion. So, what kind of people do you think about Kang Sung-hyun, Ms. Wang? The interviewer asked. The female lead smiled with happiness. She said, although this is a question from the organizers, it's quite difficult to give a satisfactory answer, isn't it? After pondering for a moment, she calmly continued, Kang Se-young-hyun and I had a favorite travel destination before, at that place. Even though the sun hadn't set yet, the stars were already out. That's a moment I could never have imagined, and Kang Se-young-hyun is like that. I see him as similar to those stars because, even though we can't see them during the day, they are actually rising. For me, Kang Se-young-hyun is like that, always looking towards me, even when he's not physically present. I never feel alone wherever I am because of him. He gives me that feeling. Sometimes, the love I receive from him is so overwhelming that I don't have the courage to reciprocate. I'm always grateful to Kang Se-young-hyun. I also want to become a star like that for him, she smiled and added, of course, for our children too, she concluded with a happy expression. Then came the image of a very happy family of 3. A few years later, the family was still very happy. Darling, wait. Am I looked really okay? Indeed, this tight dress seems quite troublesome? Sura asked her husband anxiously. He looked at her and replied, it's okay, the heels are not too high, your hair looks beautiful, and the makeup isn't too heavy, very nice. Se-young-hyun leaned closer to Sura's face and whispered, it seems like I've praised you several times already. If you want, I can praise you even more. He said eagerly. Sura smiled and looked at Se-young-hyun, saying, it's not about praising more than enough. Just trust the eyes of this senior. Though it was a bit sudden, I came to greet my partner's parents. Because 3 days ago, after the most famous couple in Korean cinema proposed to each other during a fan signing event, the whole world went crazy that night. Then the people on the other end of the phone spoke to Sung-hyun, hey. You're really thoughtless. How come we weren't the first to know about the person our son proposed to on TV? Your father is really upset. Bring her home this week. Wang Sura asked anxiously, what's wrong? What did your family say? And with that reason, this couple came today. Contrary to Sura's worry, there was quite a warm welcome. Come on in. Se-young-hyun's mother exclaimed joyfully. Se-young-hyen's father followed up, "Are you tired from the journey?" Se-young-hyen asked his parents, while Sura nervously bowed her head and said, "Hello, sir and ma'am. My name is Wang Sura." Seeing this, Se-young-hyen's mother smiled warmly and said, "Oh my, such a polite little girl. Why are you staring at Sura like that?" Se-young-hyen looked at his parents with a hint of helplessness. Se-young-hyen's father looked at him and said, "It's delightful when we get to meet celebrities in real life." The warmth of Se-young-hyen's family made Sura admire them. She was born into an imperfect family, and then that imperfect family ceased to exist. Sura watched with interest as her boyfriend's family conversed with each other. "Is Dad still upset because I didn't tell him beforehand? You didn't want two of us to live long anyway, so why bother saying useless things?" Se-young-hyen's mother chuckled and said, "With such a spread of food on the table, I'm sure you're all starving, aren't you? Please, have a seat first and enjoy the food in front of you," Sura exclaimed in surprise. "Did you prepare all of this, Mom?" Se-young-hyen's mother chuckled and replied, "It's been a while since I've showcased that talent. Whenever you go back, feel free to take some with you." Se-young-hyen looked at his mother and promptly responded, "Yes, ma'am." Seeing this scene, Sura wished, "It's strange, compared to that, what I have seemed so insignificant in this perfect picture. Can I step into it?" Suddenly, Se-young-hyen's mother spoke up, "How can Sura look so lovely?" "Yes," Sura said, surprised, "even on the screen, she already looks beautiful. Seeing her in person today, she's even more stunning." Se-young-hyen's mother looked at Sura and complimented her. Hearing that, Sura also said, "Wow, Mom looks like a beauty herself. I'm not lying, I really mean it." Se-young-hyen's mother laughed heartily and said, "Of course you mean it, because that little guy looks like his mom, that's why he's so handsome." Seeing her so cheerful, Sura thought to herself, Mom must be really happy. Not only is she genuine, of course, Dad is also exceptionally handsome. But Mom is so beautiful that if I didn't know Se-young-hyen's family, I would think she's his sister. Watching Se-young-hyen's parents lovingly interact with each other, Sura admired them even more, focusing intently on their every move. It was wonderful, of course she thought so. Se-young-hyen's parents were engaging in some meaningless banter that seemed adorable, keeping Sura captivated. Unexpectedly, Se-young-hyen scooped up a piece of meat onto Sura's plate and said, "It's okay. My parents are just expressing their affection for each other, so you don't need to worry about it." Enjoying the food, she happily soaked in the warmth of his family atmosphere. Sura stifled a laugh, thinking, after all, Se-young-hyen's appearance comes from his mother, while his playful nature is inherited from his father. The atmosphere in this house, everything seems to exude love. Thinking like this makes me want to immerse myself in this place even more. Later, outside the house, Se-young-hyen's father was getting into his golf stance, saying, "Right, so have you two decided on a wedding date yet?" Se-young-hyen responded promptly, "No, not yet. We still want to focus on our careers this year." His father agreed, saying, "The boy has been in the entertainment industry for a long time without caring much about his parents. These actions must have a reason." As he spoke, he swung the golf club, sending the ball flying before thinking, "Regardless, I must offer my input on my eldest son's decision." The ball rolled slowly on the fairway and dropped into the hole. At this moment, Se-young-hyen's father solemnly remarked, "The girl seems like a good one." Se-young-hyen looked at his father pensively and said, Seems like Dad has nothing to say. Mom used to boast about Dad's romantic endeavors when she was young, it was quite impressive." Hearing his son's words, the father hugged his face, overcome with emotion. "Is everything okay, Dad?" Se-young-hyen comforted him. Trong Na, two women were chatting. Se-young-hyen's mother spoke with a bit of concern, "Despite having fewer members, it's quite noisy here, isn't it?" Sura replied shyly, "Not at all. It looks very cheerful and friendly." Looking out into the yard, Se-young-hyen's mother happily remarked, "Se-young-hyen, that kid seems worried that I'm going to devour him. He's been peeking in here the whole time, probably feeling anxious." A bit embarrassed, Sura said, "He's probably afraid I'll make a mistake, that's why he's like that. I tend to be a bit impulsive." Se-young-hyen's mother laughed and replied, "Oh, come on. Do you think I don't understand my own son?" Deep down, Sura silently pleaded, Please come back soon, sweetheart. Se-young-hyun's mother continued, but I really appreciate your efforts to keep me entertained. Come on, put this piece of orange down and have some grapes. As she spoke, she pushed the fork toward Sura. Sura hurriedly declined, it's okay, really. Please go ahead and eat first, let me prepare. Reaching out to grasp Sura's trembling arm, Se-young-hyun's mother said, no, don't refuse. Just consider yourself a guest. When I first got married, I was treated like a guest at my husband's house. Sura was caught off guard, yes, she said hesitantly. Se-young-hyun's mother reassured her with a blink, no, it's not like that. Is this kind of mother-in-law behavior trending nowadays? I'm not the type to force my daughter-in-law like my own daughter. Sura looked at Se-young-hyun's mother in astonishment, stammering, overwhelmed with happiness, I still have many shortcomings. My parents, who died in the accident, would also smile kindly. Se-young-hyun's mother replied modestly, nevertheless, you have grown up to be beautiful and make people proud like this. Although we only know each other after living together, I believe in my son's judgment. She smiled gently and said, because you have a wounded heart, that's not a flaw, Sura. Sura couldn't hold back anymore, tears streaming down her cheeks. Suddenly, there was a cry, Mom. Both of them turned to see Se-young-hyun rushing in, wiping tears. Sura asked, are you worried? Se-young-hyun inquired, why are you crying? What did Mom say to you? Hearing that, Sura quickly explained, it's nothing, really. I just got too emotional all of a sudden. Se-young-hyun's mother looked helplessly at him, oh my. She led her husband out, whispering to him, raising a son only makes him useless. Even if he's a bit naughty, the only one on my side is Song-gang. Let's leave them alone. In the afternoon, when they returned to Sung-hyun's own home, he cheerfully said, actually, I knew you would please them. Sura puzzled, oh, why is that? Se-young-hyun replied, because my parents are easily charmed by beautiful people. Hearing that, Sura chuckled shyly and said, what are you saying? With a confident smile, Se-young-hyun replied, it's true. Don't you see how they couldn't take their eyes off you because you're so beautiful? Feeling happy to receive so much praise from her husband, Sura smiled blissfully. Then Se-young-hyun spoke up, but when are you planning to introduce me? Sura, taken aback, said, what? Don't I have to go and greet my in-laws? Se-young-hyun chuckled. Sura looked at her husband in surprise before breaking into a happy smile. On a beautiful day at the memorial site in the cemetery, a couple walked hand in hand. They were the main characters. Sura suddenly said, my parents will be very surprised. Se-young-hyun looked at her, surprised? Then the two looked at each other and smiled knowingly. Confidently, Sura said, because their son-in-law is too handsome. The two continued to walk inside. Do you have any wishes for the wedding, Sura? Se-young-hyun looked at his wife and asked with a smile. A bit surprised by Se-young-hyun's unexpected question, Sura simply replied, yes. Seeing his wife's hesitation, Se-young-hyun continued, our wedding, I want it to be the way you like the most. Hearing her husband say that, Sura still felt a bit hesitant and responded, a wedding where everyone bears witness to each other's lifelong commitment. When I was young and saw my parents happy together, I also dreamed of a day like that. But because of some things, that dream seemed distant to me. Maybe that's why I sometimes think about living together with you, but I've never thought about the specifics, like how I would want the wedding to be. Sura spoke shyly. Sura felt a bit shy as she thought, but my fiancé is looking into everything needed, and I don't want to interfere, so I just answered roughly that everything is fine. I can sense the joy in his words, and I also want him to be as enthusiastic. She thought, just wait for me, fiancé. I will find my dream wedding, even though I don't know what it is. That's what I've been thinking. She sighed in disappointment, because I haven't found what I want yet. There are too many options. I like everything I see. Because what I want is not clear, it's hard to navigate. Suddenly, she felt something surprising about the wedding. On the screen, she remarked how wonderful this outdoor wedding was, under the clear blue sky and with the vibrant flowers. Her fiancé, dressed in pure white attire, stood solemnly against the breathtaking backdrop she had imagined. Suddenly, Sura realized and silently exclaimed in her mind, "This is getting interesting." "Sura! I'm back," Se-young-hyun called out to his wife. But the response he received was a silent atmosphere. Sensing something amiss because usually when he returned, Sura always said, "Welcome home, dear," but Se-young-hyun shrugged it off and approached, thinking she was engrossed in something cute. He called her again, "Hey, sweetheart, over there." Suddenly, Sura exclaimed, "Dear," making Sung-hyun startle. With an excited face, she boasted, "Honey, I've made my choice." At this point, Sung-hyun still didn't understand what was happening. What? Then he smiled brightly. Sura said, "I've chosen the wedding I want." Just like that, the outdoor wedding finally took place. Everyone applauded to congratulate this lovely couple. Now, Sura was wearing a beautiful white wedding dress, walking towards Se-young-hyun in his handsome white suit. She closed her eyes silently, feeling the most beautiful moment of her life amidst the enthusiastic cheers. She exchanged loving glances with her husband. Se-young-hyun also responded with an affectionate smile. Perhaps at this moment, only the two of them could truly feel this happiness, and there would be no words to describe this emotion. Se-young-hyun held the bride's hand in his, expressing his blessings. They held hands tightly, symbolizing their steadfastness, never to be separated no matter what happens in the future. Se-young-hyun looked at Sura and asked, "Has your dream wedding become a reality?" Sura replied with a bright smile, "Yes, it's perfect." "And you?" "I still have one thing," he whispered, leaning down to gently touch Sura's face. Their gaze narrowed, focusing only on each other. Their lips were about to touch amidst the cheering. Their lips met, marking the end of the wedding ceremony beautifully. 3 months have passed. "Sura, once again congratulations. You're pregnant," Jin Kyung said with joy, handing over gifts to her. Sura, surprised and grateful, replied, "Thank you so much. Why are there so many?" Jin Kyung cheerfully explained, "Oh, these are gift vouchers, supplements, cosmetics, nausea relief candies, and a few other things." Sura happily thanked her, saying, "I really appreciate it, thank you." However, she felt guilty about Moon Entertainment Company. "Anyway, I feel guilty about Director Moon, from the time I got married until now." Jin Kyung quickly comforted her, "What are you saying? You finished your filming on time, and you might even receive an award at the end of the year. Besides, Wang Su has thought about it, so don't worry too much." Hearing this, Sura hastily exclaimed, "I'm really sorry." Jin Kyung replied cheerfully, "Anyway, how's Sung-hyun? Is he treating you well?" At this point, Sura was a bit hesitant. "Well, that's..." Jin Kyung eagerly asked again, "That's..." Sura said, "That's quite helpless." Jin Kyung, surprised, continued, "Quite helpless?" Sura recalled, "I said I could go by myself, didn't need anyone to take me to the bathroom. Why did he insist on taking me? I could walk a bit, it wouldn't have been a problem." Hearing this, Jin Kyung also felt helpless about this situation and said, "If it's just going to the bathroom, he would probably wait outside, right?" Covering her face, Sura replied, "But all day, we stick to each other like chewing gum. What else do you want to eat? I'm good for now, thank you. But when I need something, he's nowhere to be found." Sura hurried to find her husband and found him standing in the room doing something. She silently wondered, what is he doing in here? Sneaking in, Sura overheard Se-young-hyun mumbling to himself, "The bed should be on this side, toys should go on the other side. No, maybe it's better to move it a bit." Feeling helpless, she told Jin Kyung, "That's how it is. He's been standing there for a long time imagining our child's room. Isn't it funny?" With a nonchalant expression, Jin Kyung replied, "Yeah, it's quite amusing." Sura added shyly, "Every time we plan something, he gets all chaotic." "It's still early in the morning, honey." Sura gently stroked Se-young-hyun's head as she spoke, "You won't hear anything like that, it'll take a while." But Se-young-hyun just nestled on her lap, "I know, I just want to be close to you." Sura chuckled nervously, "The manager is waiting downstairs, you need to go down quickly." Silently, Se-young-hyun looked at her and then buried his head in Sura's lap again, ignoring her call, "Honey." Then he said something that made Sura freeze. I don't want anything else. I just want to lie on your lap and be close to our child like this all day. Hearing such sweet words, Sura's face flushed, thinking, at that moment, my husband was really adorable. Seeing her dreamy expression, Jin Kyung remarked, all right, I get it, no need to say more, I understand. But ever since the wedding, you've been seeing Se-young-hyun's face every day, haven't you? Surprised by the question, Sura replied, yes, why do you ask? Looking at Sura teasingly, Jin Kyung said, well, what else could it be? You have a baby now. Sura shyly responded, well, that's true, your prediction was spot on. About a month before Chang Hoonjo and Jin Seo's wedding day, they announced, we're getting married too. After their wedding reception, we organized a small congratulatory party. Despite being busy, Se-young-hyun and Sura still attended. We really appreciate it, Jin Seo said, holding a glass of wine. Sura laughed and replied, of course we had to come. Your wedding was beautiful. Jin Seo smiled at that and said, thank you for saying that, I'm sure it was. Oh, by the way, when are you two going to show us the beautiful next generation? I'll make our son marry your daughter. Chang Hoonjo awkwardly intervened, Jin Seo. Watching the couple, Sura thought to herself, if it were anyone else, I'd be confused about how to react. Chang Hoonjo explained, sorry, Sura, she's just a bit drunk. I'm not drunk, Jin Seo protested. On a good day like this, and drinking with two close friends, I'm just relaxed. Let it be. Sura chuckled brightly, then added, she's a bit tipsy now. Jin Seo turned to someone else to chat. Seeing her, Sura remarked, if it's Chang Hoonjo and Jin Seo's child, they're bound to be very beautiful. Se-young-hyun, feeling helpless, said, all right, no more drinking for you. But if they were both the same gender, then what? Sura asked her husband. Hearing that, Se-young-hyun replied, well, if they like each other, there's no other way, right? It is what it is. He spoke as if everything in the world were that simple. Se-young-hyun chuckled at his wife's reaction, placing his wine glass on the table. If not, then we'll just have one boy and one girl, he said. Sura looked at him in bewilderment, sighing. Here we go again, you make it sound so easy. It's never that simple, is it? Yeah, well. Sung-hyun gently touched Sura's cheek, saying, first of all, even if it means death, we have to try. That night, a soft moan escaped. Se-young-hyun was passionately kissing Sura, both emitting sounds not suitable for children. Se-young-hyun slowly undressed them both. Se-young-hyun eagerly executed his future plans with all his energy and joy. Breathless from Se-young's speed, Sura exclaimed, wait. While panting heavily, she continued, wait, please. Urgently, it seemed that Se-young-hyun's survival instinct had kicked in. He asked, what's wrong? Sura gently replied, we have to take a shower first. Se-young-hyun lifted her up, looking at her with tenderness. Are you still in the mood to think about that now? Sura's face was now sweaty. Her husband gently lifted her legs and started exercising. Se-young-hyun held Sura's body gently and laid her down on the bed. In this passage, we respectfully choose to let silence replace the sweet words they might say in their drunkenness. Simply observing these tender moments is enough to melt the audience's hearts. As fervent as Sura wishes, he is trying to create a new product that carries his perfect genome. Looking back on that day, I earnestly prayed to the universe, please, let me have a child just like this man. Perhaps the universe was moved and agreed. He will be just like him. Se-young-hyun said, come here, Sura, you've had a hard day today. Their child called out mommy with a voice as angelic as can be. Seeing the father and son, Sura burst with emotion. Se-young-hyun asked, Sura, why are you just standing there? 10 months later, our child was born. It's truly miraculous how much he resembles his father. Kang Sin-nam, about 6 months old. Se-young-hyun's parents also confirmed, their grandson looks just like Se-young-hyun did when he was young. He looks just like our son. Gently placing Kang Sin into the crib, Se-young-hyun showed his skill. Looking at the sleeping face of their child, Sura thought, just like an angel, for sure. Sura placed a kiss on the baby's forehead, hoping that when he grows up, he'll be as loving as his father. Se-young-hyun looked surprised. You seem sleepy, dear. Sura replied, yes, dear, you've had a hard day too, haven't you? He smiled, well, the little one isn't too much trouble, but you've been working hard outside. Hearing this, Sura worried, thinking, was I really possessed just now? He had just said, well, yes, lying down next to his husband. Sura said, but are you really okay? Se-young-hyun was surprised by her question. What do you mean? Sura explained about Director Lim's script he had introduced so well. Even so, hearing you say that now, Se-young-hyun gently placed the book on the table, saying, I've been acting to my heart's content until now, so taking a break is fine, not because of the child. Sura looked at her husband with affectionate eyes and suddenly kissed his cheek. I always appreciate you, my dear husband, Sura whispered softly in his ear. Se-young-hyun blushed and hugged Sura tightly. He said, you have the day off tomorrow, right? Sura replied softly, yes, and immediately the two prepared for a passionate night. Sura thought to herself, indeed, happiness is like this, with no external obstacles anymore. Time flew by, and now the shelf was filled with the trophies they both achieved on the wall of their house, along with the family portraits drawn by Kong Sin. Asleep on the bed was a 6-year-old Kong Sin. Suddenly, a man's voice called out, Sin Kong Sin. The boy groggily woke up, as if he were still trying to doze off. The man gently smiled, son, wake up. Today we must play together. He tickled Kong Sin until the boy laughed tiredly. Kong Sin pleaded with his father to stop, saying, Dad, stop it, it tickles. Se-young-hyun said, are you getting up, little one? Kong Sin quickly replied, yes, I'll get up. The boy beamed a bright smile and asked his father, did you sleep well, Dad? Yeah, Dad's Kong Sin slept well too, the two hugged each other and said. Then they went to the bathroom to wash their faces. Se-young-hyun helped Kong Sin brush his teeth, and they laughed together, after which he helped Kong Sin change into fresh clothes and have breakfast together. After finishing everything in the morning, Kong Sin grabbed some scripts and headed back to his room. Se-young-hyun handed them to his father. Surprised, Se-young-hyun exclaimed, are these all Sin's scripts? Our Sin is really famous. Hearing his father's praise, Kong Sin replied, yes, what's the next script, Dad? You pick. Se-young-hyun said, is this one good? While playing with Kong Sin, he still carefully examined each script from white to red. Meanwhile, the little one kept playing with his father, climbing on him and then on his neck, but eventually, he chose the ocean blue one, saying, Dad likes this one. Hearing this, Kong Sin excitedly said, Mom and Uncle Wong-soo also suggested I do this, so I chose it too. Se-young-hyun exclaimed, what? Kong Sin clearly already decided. And yet you still ask Dad to choose? Kong Sin looked at his father and replied, Mom said if both you and I chose, then Dad would be upset, so she told me to show you again. Seemingly realizing he spoke too much, the boy quickly shut his mouth, whispering that Mom told him not to talk about it. But he forgot completely. Hearing this, Se-young-hyun felt a bit annoyed. What's this? Just keeping it from Dad alone? This time, Dad was really mad, so Kong Sin quickly apologized. Come on, Dad, forgive me. How about I sing for you? Putting on a pitiful face, Shin asked, can't you resist this face? Se-young-hyun turned to his son and said, do you know Dad loves you, so you did that, right? But not today. Looking at his father, Kong Sin replied, why? What should I do, Se-young-hyun? Looking at his son, he smiled gently and said, today, just follow Dad's request. In the kitchen, a pot of soup was boiling. A woman scooped up some soup with a spoon to taste. It was the beautiful Sura in her housewife attire. Suddenly, there were hands embracing her from behind. It was a very handsome man. The two looked at each other with affectionate eyes and were about to kiss when a loud noise interrupted the moment. The director noticed the sudden silence and scolded the film crew. The atmosphere was perfect. We need to be careful while shooting. Why is everyone so confused? Who did that, director? It sounded like children screaming, and hearing that, the director hesitantly said in fear, children? There shouldn't be any children on the set. Don't say such scary things. At the same time, in a corner of the set, Dad, did I do well? Sin chuckled softly, looking at the stage. Se-young-hyun praised, very good, excellent, my dear. Kong Sin replied happily, sneakily glancing at his wife acting. Se-young-hyun thought to himself, now is the time, if we keep looking at each other like this, even after many years, it won't get boring. Sura awkwardly said to her co-star, we might have to redo it. The other person replied, fine. Sura thought to herself, that scream sounded familiar. Maybe I misheard. The director urgently said, let's redo it. Although it's regrettable, let's continue acting. We failed the second time because of that noise. The third time was the same. The fourth time was even worse, it disrupted the climax, and everyone was still puzzled. Finally, where did that sound come from? At this moment, as if realizing, whose voice was that? Sura silently fumed, are you going to cause trouble like this, apart from that man? The director was still puzzled, wondering if it was really the ghost of a child. Sura loosened her hair, preparing to interrogate the person who caused the incident, and reassuring the director, don't worry, director, it's probably not a demon. In another corner, the father and son still hadn't realized the impending disaster, but Kong Sin eagerly asked, Dad, what will we do after that? Meanwhile, Se-young-hyun was still patting his head, continuing with the menu. 1. Clap twice. 3. Stamp your feet. 4. Hit the wall. Suddenly, the voice of a woman made them freeze. So you're here. Sura angrily said, you're teaching our son to be too mischievous, Kong Se-young-hyun? Looking triumphant, Se-young-hyun replied, isn't Sua good? Of course, Kong Sin kept calling, Mom. Hearing her husband's self-satisfied words, Sura retorted, are you still joking at a time like this? Suddenly, before the father and son could finish their sentences, the girls in the room approached. What's going on, Kong Se-young-hyun? Sura quickly turned back and said, I'm really sorry, everyone. A girl said, is it really Kong Se-young-hyun who's here? The girl next to her exclaimed, really? Everyone was surprised. Sura went to call him? Flustered, Sura stammered, Suddenly, a tall figure stepped out of the shadows. Se-young-hyun grabbed Sura's shoulder, pulling her closer, saying, hello, everyone. Even Kong Sin mimicked his father, hello, everyone. Se-young-hyun continued, you've been working hard on the film, so I've prepared coffee and snacks outside for everyone to take a break. Seeing her husband like this, Sura was extremely astonished. She felt powerless thinking about manipulating others with bribes and beauty. Meanwhile, Sin, do you want an apple? Se-young-hyun said to his son, you have to say thank you, okay? Kong Sin obediently replied, thank you, sir. Surprised, Se-young-hyun turned back to look at his wife Sura, who appeared puzzled by his gaze. Then he teasingly stuck out his tongue at her. Seeing this scene, Sura felt both angry and embarrassed. Thinking about her husband, she thought, really? Kong Se-young-hyun, when we get home, I won't let you off easy. Taking a deep breath, she calmed down. In reality, upon closer examination, the biggest issue was his jealousy, which hadn't changed over time. But she didn't mind this at all. She smiled happily. She thought to herself, I definitely won't let him know. She scolded him angrily, when we get home, I'll give you a piece of my mind. Se-young-hyun asked, how are you planning to scold me? Meanwhile, Kong Sin kept calling, Mom. Late at night, Sura finished her work on the film set. The elevator was on the 37th floor. Sura dialed her phone while thinking, it's already 11:30, Sin must be asleep by now. It's because of him and Sin that I feel guilty, so I scolded them. I'm really sorry, Sura said. It's okay, we found it quite amusing, didn't we? Yes, indeed, she replied. Actually, I had already forgiven them earlier, but I still need to uphold discipline. I'm home now. Sura pushed the door and entered the house. Surprisingly, she heard Kong Sin's voice calling, and the boy hugged her tightly. Kong Sin excitedly said, welcome home, Mom. Sura was surprised, Sin, you're still awake? From a distance, Se-young-hyun said, come here quickly. Sin said he had something to show his mom, so he stayed awake until now. Sura looked at her son in surprise. What do you want to show me? Curious, Sura asked, leading her into the house. Kong Sin proudly showed Sura what he and his father had done on Christmas Eve. It's so beautiful. Did you and your dad decorate? She asked happily. In response, Kong Sin showed her something, saying, yes, we did. Seeing her son's excitement, Sura couldn't help but smile. In front of her, Kong Sin presented a golden star, eagerly awaiting her reaction. He said to her, this is the final decoration I want us all to hang together. Seeing her son like this, Sura couldn't help but smile happily. The three hands of the family placed on the small star in delight. They had completed decorating the Christmas tree, but Sura worriedly asked Kong Sin, oh right, have you decided what gift you want from Santa Claus? Kong Sin innocently replied, yes, really? What is it? Can you tell Mom? She remembered that last year, Kong Sin had replied, it's a secret. He raised his finger to his mouth, pondered for a moment, then suddenly exclaimed, a younger sibling. Both Sura and her husband froze, feeling worried. She said to her son, Sin, didn't you say before that you didn't need a sibling? Kong Sin replied, but if it's a younger sibling like Ji Sung or other friends, then we don't have to say goodbye and can play together forever. Moon Ji Sung was the eldest son of Jin Kyung and Wang Su, 1 year younger than Kong Sin. She raised her hand to her forehead, saying, Sin, wouldn't it be very difficult for Santa Claus to bring a sibling? Kong Sin replied, I know, Mom. Because Santa Claus has to come from a very far away place, so it's okay even if it takes 10 months to arrive. The boy giggled innocently. However, the most awkward ones were Sura and her husband. In the bedroom, Sura still felt helpless, saying, where did the boy learn about that? Se-young-hyeon hurriedly reassured her, don't worry about that. He's been educated at daycare. Sura looked at him, saying, you know, don't you? Se-young-hyeon chuckled, parents are informed in detail. Oh, I see, Sura seemed to understand, but she fell silent, intertwining her hands in worry. When I think about it, I'm still working hard while the kids are in their developmental stage. But it seems like I still don't understand my own child as a mother. Maybe I don't have any good points. Se-young-hyeon looked at his wife with such worry, and he sighed softly. No way the kids would love their mother so much, he said sincerely, in the future, the boy will think, so the best mother we have is a top famous actress in Korea. Hearing her husband's words, Sura couldn't help but feel emotional at this moment. She stood up gently, and as she undressed, she said, actually, today I intended to have a proper conversation. Sura climbed onto the bed and sat on her husband's body, but you gave such good advice, you deserve a reward. Looking at her, Se-young-hyeon replied, I feel more like I'm being punished than rewarded. Sura softly said, yes, how did you know I would punish you? Then the two kissed intimately. Smiling gently, he softly said, I love everything you do for me, really. Sura thought to herself, I really can't resist this man for a lifetime. The scene shifts to a beautiful beach, where Kong Sin, with his tiny feet, runs on the sand. Wait up, don't run too far by yourself, Se-young-hyeon holds the hand of their second child, their daughter, with a cheerful tone. I won't go far, Dad. Se-young-hyeon hands the daughter over to his wife while looking at Kong Sin, saying, Dad's coming to catch you right away. Sura holds onto Suah while looking at her son and responds, yes. She is satisfied, thinking, no matter what, I think the energy of these two father and son is still wonderful as usual. She strokes her daughter's face and says, Dad and brother are working hard, aren't they, Suah? As if understanding her mother's words, Suah also giggles. Many years have passed since we came to this beach together. Back then, it was just the two of us, but now it's the four of us. A long journey has been made from when I wanted to be recognized as an actress to becoming a member of the family. These days, I think this is the pinnacle of happiness. If this is the peak, then I'm afraid I might fall right now. Suddenly, a familiar hand is placed on Sura's shoulder, which makes her no longer afraid. Looking at Se-young-hyeon, she thinks, but in this moment with my family, I understand that the meaning of happiness can be even greater. Gently letting the breeze brush over her face, Sura gazes towards the sea. Now, that star will come to me, both as a senior and a star among us. The star shining brightly is closely tied to the children, just like when we decorate a Christmas tree and... Se-young-hyeon suddenly speaks up. Sura. Yes, she responds. He looks at his wife with tender eyes and says, we will be happy like this for the rest of our lives. Here, in the future, the meaning of happiness will continue to increase, Sura beams with a radiant smile. Of course, if I'm with someone like him. In the cozy space of the family, the image of Sura on the screen blurred, then returned to normal. But the voice from the past resurfaced, yes, yes, Wang Sura then Kong Se-young-hien. She laughed and continued, it's a question that's not new, but I don't know how to answer. She thought for a moment, then replied, there's a travel destination that Kong Se-young-hien and I both like. There's a place that we find delightful, actually. Su-ah, their daughter, joyfully echoed her mother's words, in that place, when the sun hadn't set yet, we saw the stars. We both looked at each other with the same eyes when we saw those stars. I feel like me and Kong Se-young-hien are really alike, don't you think? The little girl asked eagerly, and Kong Sin answered, that's right, at that time, I was just a little boy too. Mom back then and now are still miraculously alike. Yeah, he gently poked her cheek, the boy said, and our Su-ah looks just like Mom too. And hearing her own voice on television, Sura felt extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, a wake-up call interrupted this awkward feeling. Mom, Kong Sin looked at her, saying, to me, you're already like a star. Hearing her son say that, Sura choked up. Se-young-hien added, it's truly miraculous. To me, Dad is also like that. Su-ah feels the same too, the beautiful little girl said as she hugged them both, everyone seems to be stars. At this moment, Sura felt utterly embarrassed to be embraced by her entire family, and she choked up. Why? Kong Sin awkwardly asked, why are you crying? Se-young-hien quickly responded, this little rascal made Mom cry? And Su-ah is trying her best to comfort Mom, don't cry, Mom. Dad cries more than Mom. It's just because Mom is so happy that she cries, Sura replied with a smile. Perhaps at that moment, she also remembered standing alone, tears streaming down her face, having to continue filming. She had to reassure herself. Suddenly, someone handed her a handkerchief. She looked up in surprise, it was Se-young-hien. From that moment on, the harmony of the universe began to bring me happiness. So their love story has come to a beautiful conclusion, filled with sweet melodies. Farewell, everyone, and until we meet again.